Welcome back to the channel. My name's Steve. Today we're going to be going through a mix and just going from top to bottom what I did to get the sound. Now, I did mix these on a different set of headphones. So here I've got a pair of sort of Sony headphones, which I've been kind of mixing on because I've been in this room for a while. I'm waiting to move house. These are the best that I've got, but these have got like a massive bass boost in them, so they're not been great for me. So I've been out today and bought some AKGs. AKG Studio Professional headphones. I'm going to give them a try today. They're K245s. I've been told for the money they're supposed to be pretty good. But this is what we're starting with. So let's dive right in. Everything's been DI'd, so there's nothing. I'm going to be using amp simulators. I want to show you everything that I've used in this. We're going to be using isotope plugins a lot in this tutorial. So if you're into isotope or you've been thinking about getting any of the isotope plugins, this is going to be good for you. We've not got vocals on this track yet. I want to show you how we record those when we get around to doing them. And I also want to show you the new Nectar 4 plugin, which has been out a little while now. And I've just been reluctant to upgrade because I love Nectar 3 so much. I don't know why, but I'm so glad I did. It's bloody brilliant. We'll talk about that in another video. Let's dive into this. So I always like to sort of start with my drum sound, and this is what we're working with from a drum sound. It's not a bad, it's just a stereo mix of the drums, and that's all we got to work with. So you can hear that everything's been DI'd. So I had the bass on as well. Let's turn that off. That's all we got for the drums. So what we did with the drums was really simple. I've done this in other videos. I use Relay as well, just in case I decide to use Neutron's mix assistant. But we used Neutron first, and I just want to show you what it did. I used the mix assistant, and then I didn't like what it did on this instance. I actually ended up going into one of their presets and selected added snap. And what that's done is it gives you sort of like an EQ wave, and then you can either lean into it more or less. It's up to you. Okay, and then you've got this little bar here that you can go across, add some tone. They were a little bit deep sounding for me, so let me just show you some of the things it did. It also did some subtractive EQing, compression, and then we've got an exciter as well. So all in all, that's all pretty good. Like what it's done there. So once we've done that bit, this is how it sounded. So let's just go off and then on. You can hear the cymbals starting to poke out a little bit more now. Also, if we go back here, we've got punch just a tiny touch, barely at all. Turn the attack up just a little bit, distortion up a little bit, and we added some width to make the drum sound a little bit wider. I kept the tone match at about 48. I went all the way, didn't sound very good. Dialed it back in. So that's what we did initially. But then I wanted those hits to come a little bit harder, so I used the transient master. Got that at about 30% and the sustain about 23 with a smooth limit. And now I've done a whole video on this plugin. Go and check that one out. It's a great plugin for just making your drum sound either tighter or a bit looser or a bit more expansive. It's got a few different really cool presets in there that you can then just tweak afterwards. And then once I got that, just to bring some more of that out, I added some more compression, and we went with the classic VCA, we went with classic drums, and I just reined in this a little bit. And I don't want to shave off loads. So that sounds they sound massive now. With the bass, and we had just the regular bass amp that was built into Logic, and this is what it gave me. A little bit bland though. So then we used Neutron 4 just to clean up the signal just a tiny little bit. Just get rid of that boxy sort of sound that it was giving us. Didn't do loads to this. And then we moved on to acoustics. I had some acoustics, and the acoustics sounded great as they were. But what I wanted to do with the acoustic is just add a little bit of brightness. So let's just hear with out. They sounded great anyway. Just clean them up just ever so slightly with Neutron. Tiny little bit of exciter, just very slightly clean them up, made them just a little bit more, just to cut through that bass a little better. And the final piece of compression, which I like to do, it's all down to taste at the end of the day. So that's that, and then we go down here then and we get to we get into electric guitar territory, and then we got a DI'd signal. On the main bus that I created, we were using Neutron 4 and the compression, but we're using that after we used Guitar Rig. So Guitar Rig, we went with the Fire Seeker, just quite crunchy, quite a bit of treble, went a little bit lower on the lows. This is not finalized, but it's starting to get there. But let's have a listen to. And without Neutron, fine but a little muddy. Just adds that bit of presence. And then the only other bit then really was this we got your lead guitar, which we used a Soldano amp in the end. So the Soldano, if anyone's ever used these, Neural DSP, these are amazing. It sounds so good. I had to add a bit of a gate onto it as well, because it is picking up some nasty sort of scratchy sounds that were on there, but we've managed to get rid of those. Again, Neutron 4 just to clean it all up, and a little bit of compression the same. You can hear that reverb and delay that's been added onto that. And then with the last part of the guitar, which is, we went back to Guitar Rig for this. Which sounds like this in the mix. Hear how big the drums sound now. Now, it's very difficult to finish off a mix, obviously, without vocals. So I'll show you more about Neutron 4 Mix Assistant when we get to doing the vocals for this particular song. That'll come in another video. But that is a really useful tool if you're new to mixing like I am. I consider myself a songwriter first and foremost. I don't particularly look at myself as being a musician, or even, well, I suppose I am a musician. I do play guitar and stuff. It's just I'm not that great at it. But what I like doing is actually piecing songs together and writing songs. I'm just sort of getting into mixing a little more, and these are the tools that I'm using. I'm finding them very useful. So if I'm finding them very useful as what I would consider a beginner mixing engineer, then I'm sure you will find them useful too. And because I'm working with headphones, having this sort of AI, if that's what you want to call it, mix assistance is really helping me get good starting positions and then being able to tweak things just to my own taste. I finished it off by adding Neutron 11. I'm just going to turn this down on my end because it might get a bit loud in my ears. But you hear the difference this then makes. I mean, Neutron 11, I'll do a full video on Neutron because this is brilliant. I mean, you got the assistant there. It actually recognised it as a pop track. I suppose it's sort of country rock, really. But what it came up with sounded actually really, really good. I did very little in here. I think I changed the gain just a touch. It's added some more low end back in, even though we've taken a lot of low end back out at certain parts of the mix. It's added envelopes and compressions. Added some clarity with this tool. I'm still getting familiar with some of these tools. This is like it's like a multi-band compressor. So we got your image where we can see the width of everything, and then you got clarity if you just want to add a little bit more detail, which I did do. This was on about 10. I pushed it up to 25. If I went too far, it would just go really sort of hurt your ears territory. So we reined that back. The stabilizer, I don't know much about this, but the only thing, it was so simple to use and it did make a big difference, was just moving this knob up and down and moving the speed and the smoothing. Again, I think more of a sort of almost like, let's play it, I'll show you, you'll see. See where it's working. You can see where it's working to compress things and sort of keep everything sort of, I suppose, stable is what you would call it. I'm wondering if this is something that is akin to the Neuro Audio X Rider, which it keeps the compression levels to keep it sort of in a similar vein, so it doesn't sort of go all over the place dynamically. Then it's done a dynamic EQ at the end. And then it's added the maximizer for your loudness. And overall, and that's it, guys. I just wanted to show you the tools that I've been using. I'm finding them really, really useful. I've always been a fan of iZotope plugins. I've always been a big fan of Nectar 3, which is the one I generally tend to use the most. I was reluctant to buy Neutron 4 for ages, just because I wanted to do it myself. And when I had the studio space before they shut us down with the rent going way too high, another studio gone, I was using really high-end monitors, and I was able to hear the clarity of everything, and I felt I could do things by ear much easier. And even then they weren't perfect, of course, but I'm finding now that I'm doing this through headphones, it's been more difficult. These headphones, by the way, sound absolutely fantastic. That I've brought the bass down quite a bit compared to where I had it previously. So that's definitely made a difference. The trouble with them is they had a big bass boost, so I was EQing the bass to death and I was probably destroying it. So flat response headphones are probably the way forward. But yeah, I like these plugins. The Neutron plugins all work in tandem with each other, and the reason Relay is on there is because this plugin here will listen to all of these and help you get your levels of your mix. It gives you a starting point. But I want to do a full video on that because I think that's a video that could be worth a full video by itself, and it is actually very good. In this case, I think the mix is okay for now. I've got to get the vocals on. Once I've got the vocals on, then we'll use it. If you found this video useful and you like the look of these plugins, let me know in the comments section. Do you use something different? I'm always looking for different options on speeding up my workflow. We're working on an album at the moment. We're more lyricists, so we're going to be writing some lyrics to songs like this and putting them out on our other channel, which is the Westlands. And yeah, thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you again very soon for another one. I'm getting ready now for the Euros that start tonight. Scotland versus Germany. We've got Super John McGinn, who's my team's captain. So I'm hoping for the first time ever that Scotland win. So, right, thanks guys. See you soon.